This
Yeah,
conference will now be recorded.
yeah. Thank you, Raghu. Yeah. So, Abinitio, what is this Abinitio? Why do we need? Why do we need to learn this? So, we would have heard some cyber security. We would have heard some Java, Python, .NET, right? See, everything is having its own thing. Here also, Abinitio is having its own role in the market, and of course, it will be doing some work. What is the work? It makes some ETL processing. It makes ETL processing. Why do we need this ETL processing? Right? Yeah. So let me think, I'm working for some Reliance organization. I'm working for some Reliance organization. So Reliance organization, they are having their market in, like something like geo telecommunication, right? Reliance Trends, that means clothing industry. Reliance Electronics, that means all the electronics things, like whatever it may be, washing machine, ACs, fridges, everything. Yeah. And Reliance Power, few other, right? So lot now, but not two or three, so around 12 plus. They're having their role in the, you know respective business industry. So why that I'm relating to my Abinitio today means, yeah. See, coming is something like summer season, something from April around, right? Yeah. So it's February 1st. That means 2 to 3 months are there to actually for my summer season to start. So, so what are summer season wellness products? Fridges, ACs, coolers, right? Yeah. So now Reliance team want to stock up, right, all over India. Right, so Reliance having industry not only in something like AP, Telangana, Mumbai, right, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand, all over India, it is having its own role in the market. So, if they want to stock up for the summer season wellness products, something like as I mentioned, ACs, coolers, etc., etc., right, they need to distribute. First of all, they need to take the quotation from the things. I mean, from the vendors, right? So, for what they need to take the quotation? Correct, for what they need to quotation, that quotation, ETL developers will be providing. How they will be providing means, we will be given with 5 years or 7 years of old data. Okay, 5 years or 7 years of old data. Ida, they will be asking me, Anil, I want summer season wellness products count. Okay, this is something like 2025. So from 2020 to 2024, I will begin with the details. There, I'm having department number 10, 20, 30, 40. Let me think. Department number 10 is the summer season wellness products. For example, department number 10 is summer season wellness products, 20 is winter season wellness products, right? 30 is rainy season wellness products. They are categorized something like this for their easy understanding, for their easy categorization. Okay. Yeah. So in that case, what I will be doing, they have given me last 5 years data. Okay, they will be storing the data in some Oracle server or Unix server somewhere. Okay, DB2, some database or some any. Okay, now I need to use some tool. Now I need to use some tool, and I want to get that department number 10, department number 10 count for last 5 years. Why department number 10 means, as I mentioned, that is summer season wellness products. Yeah, I will use some tool. I will use some ETL tool. In With the help of that ETL tool, I will extract the data. Right up, I will extract the data into that ETL tool. I will transform the data. Transformation means molding the data. Molding the data in the sense, see, whatever data given to you, 10, 20, 30, 40, right? So out of that four department numbers, you need only department number 10, 20, 30, 40. You need to absolutely eliminate that or ignore that, right? After after getting the department number 10 filtered, what is the count of records for the department number 10 according to the year 2020? Department number 10, this is the count. 2021, department number 10, this is the count. Vice versa till department number 2024, right? So yeah, so I will be filtering the data, and I will be transforming, I mean getting the count. This will be molding the data, right? Whatever I mentioned, the two steps. What is the two steps? Filtering the data and getting the count. The two steps comes under molding the data. Molding the data in terminology, in technical terminology, it will be called as a transformation part. Okay. Yeah. So, you retrieved the count. I mean, you calculated the count. You need to load into some safe level, right? You can't put somewhere whatever you want, right? You need to load the data. You need to load the data into some safe hands, either into the database server, either into the Unix server. Yes, that will be happening in the loading part. This is the role of ETL. That is the role of ETL. So in order to make the analysis, our ETL comes into picture. Data analytics. Okay. Yeah. So we will be making our ETL process to make our data analysis. Of course, in order to make this analysis, I'm having a lot of ETL tools in the market, right? We'll be having Informatica, right? Abinitio, SSIS, Talent, right? Dell Bhumi, Data Stage, right? All things are, all right. We're having around 10 products and famous products only. All these are 10 famous products only, which was used in the market for our ETL operations. All these are ETL operations. See, our Abinitio also mentioned here, right? All these are ETL tools only, right? Right. So why Abinitio here? Anil, you only mentioned, right, 6 tools, around 10 also you mentioned, right? Why we need to go with the Abinitio here? Why not? Why cannot I? Why cannot I go with the Informatica to learn, or SSIS, Talent, etc. to learn? Means, see, Abinitio is the only tool in the market is having three kinds of parallelism, three kinds of parallelism. Only that is having three kinds of parallelism, Ab Initio. What about Informatica? What about ISSIS? What about Talent? Means, of course, no other tool in the market is having three kinds of parallelism. Anil, what is the role? Why you are making this as an important note for us? Three kinds of parallelism means, yes, because let me think, I'm having a requirement, right? Yes, for in order to close that requirement, I need some ETL tool. Okay, so of course, in that case, I can use my Informatica tool, and I can use Abinitio tool. Right. Let me think. I have created the requirement in my Informatica, and of course I created the same requirement in my Abinitio. Okay. Let me think. Time taken for my requirement to execute for 1 million records in Informatica is 1 hour. Okay. Okay. One right. Let me. I'm taking some count and some time. Okay, here time is main thing. Okay, so the requirement to execute in my Informatica is 1 hour. The same requirement in Ab Initio, I can able to a completion of completion of execution. One hour means 60 minutes, right? 60 minutes by two is possible. That means within 30 minutes I can complete the execution. Or 60 by 4 also we will be having that kind of capabilities in Ab Initio to complete. That means 60 by 4 minutes within 15 minutes. 60 by 8. That means 7.5 minutes. 60 by 16, right? Something like 3.75 minutes. 3.75 minutes. See, I constructed the same requirement in my Ab Initio, and I created the same requirement in my Informatica also. Here that is 60 minutes. Here that is 3.75 minutes. Where is 60 minutes of execution? Where is 7.5 minutes? Sorry, 3.75 minutes of execution. Right? Anil, you mentioned 60 by 2, 60 by 4, 60 by 8, 60 by 8, 16. See, that depends upon the architecture that was decided by the Ab Initio architect. Even Ab Initio is having the capability to make 60 by 64 also. That means that will be less than 1 minute also. If you go with the architecture 60 minutes by 64 times, 64 in the sense times. Okay. So in within less than 1 minute also that was able to my Abinitio will be able to complete. But backend resources should be supported. What is backend resources means RAM and ROM for our easy understanding, right? For our computer, we're having RAM and ROM, right? My laptop is 16 GB RAM. My laptop is 8 GB RAM. My laptop is 4 GB RAM. What is RAM means? It gives me speedness, right? ROM means your hard disk, 1 TB hard disk, 10 TB hard disk, or 2 TB hard disk, right? So how capacity to store the values in the sense to load the data. Here, data means movies, correct? Something you are going to download, right? All those are data for you. But in our real time projects means data means records. Yeah. So guys, remember only Abinitio in the market is having. I mean, only in the market having three kinds of parallelism is Abinitio. It is having its own role in the market. Of course, as I mentioned, requirement developed in Informatica is one of our. If there any possibility, because with the RAM and ROM capability, my Ab Initio architect has decided by 64 times, 64 times thing, right? How fast that will be less than 1 minute. Where is 1 hour? Where is less than 1 minute, right? Yes, of course. See, you are having that level of speedness, right? You are having that level of speedness, right? Cost also bit more here. 70 lakh to 1 crore, guys. If Abhishek want to work in some Abinitio project, right? He need to go with some technical round, and client says okay, right? Yes, if says client says okay, understand they need to invest for one license around 70 lakh to 1 crore. That costly that is. Of course, in order to introduce any of the three kinds of parallelism, even you no need to write some extra logic, even you no need to use some extra component, okay, or you no need to pay some another extra amount. Everything was included here. What I mean to say is here, in order to introduce any of the parallelism, you no need to put extra effort or even money. I mean to say, right? Yes. So guys, remember, Abinitio is not an open based tool. Okay, open tool. Something like if you want pen tool. Okay. So right. So if you want to try install Linux, right? Yes, you can search online. So Unix operating system download. You can download that. You can open with with the help of VMware. Okay. Or few other things are there. You can download and you can use. But here Abinitio, no, you don't have that kind of capability. You will not find any setup file anywhere because it's not an open tool. Even Ab Initio Corporation helps you to install. They will give you some setup file. If you are having issue, they will only help you. No problem for installing the Ab Initio. This is not an open tool. Why? Because 70 lakh to 1 crore means how that will be open based tool, not free of cost. Open based tool means free of cost. We can download from Google and we can use that for our purpose. Means our general purpose, not for business purpose. Okay. For home learning, yes, we can use when if it is an open based tool. Of course, now Abinitio, even though you go with the like for our home purpose or your business purpose, you need to spend this much of amount compulsory. Okay, so imagine, right? Imagine if our infrastructure is like some trainings want to invest 70 lakhs to 1 crore on a single license for the training. Imagine the force of course fee structure, right? Yeah. So what I mean to say is presently something like 4.2 is running. Latest version for Ab Initio running is 4.2 version. Our training will be happening on 2.1 version, guys. As I mentioned, this is not a open based tool, right? Even whatever you see on the screen is Ab Initio 2.1 version. I've spent some money in Amirpet and have got that installed. This is not an open based tool, as I mentioned. Okay, so just understand that, why 2.1 version means nobody is ready to spend around 1 crore to make for one license. Of course, if anybody is ready to that, the course structure will be something around 1 lakh only, not less than that. Okay. Yeah. So as I mentioned, we'll be having our discussion on 2.1. And however, Anil, what about latest content? Right? What about latest content? Yes. We're having help file, 3 plus help file. You can see this is help file. 3 plus help file. Okay. So whatever topics not present in this version, all you can search and you can learn. For example, in the latest version, you are having read multiple files component, write multiple files component. That is not present in the here. But I will not leave those kind of components. Since you are going with 3 years experience, right? Right, you may get the opportunity to work, you may not get the opportunity to work in your 3 years experience. But when you are switching, right, somebody will ask you, Anil, tell me about this component, something like read multiple files component. So that is 3 plus component, right? Right, we will not ignore. At least we will open. Okay, at least we will open what is this component, how to use this component, and what are the parameters present in the component, and how to use these parameters. Of course, few parameters will, in order to work with some parameters, with, let me think here, read multiple files component transform parameter, you need to pass some syntax or syntaxes to read all the files. Of course, high level read multiple files means multiple, that means multiple files, right? Yes, so I need to pass some syntax here to read all the files, that means multiple files. Yes, so in order to work with my read multiple files component, I need to take care of few things. So you can say a lot of parameters. Yes, yes, here thing is, I cannot simulate the thing. I cannot simulate the thing in our GD where our development is happening. But at least I will take one or two examples in our notepad. I will take one or two examples on a notepad. I will be writing that one or two syntaxes for you. Let me think. I have taken here ABC and XYZ as the file name, file or file names, right? In your real time, that may be something like DEF file or IGH file. Syntax remains same. Only changes in the place of my name ABC file. You need to use a DF file. That's it. Usage will be same. Since it is 3 plus version, that is also given by the Abinitio Corporation. Transformations remain same. No change in the parameters. However, if you want more discussion on this read multiple file component, you are having examples of using read multiple files component. You can see here along with the examples. Of course, I am taking one or two examples. Here also you are having one or two examples. You can easily understand that, this guys. No need to worry. Right? Right? Clear? Clear so far? Till now, whatever discussed, what is Abinitio, what its role importance in the market, right? Why we are discussing on 2.1 version, what is the cost, right? Parallelism topic. Any questions so far? Let me come to your screen. Any new members join? Let me see. Yeah, hi Pratik.
Hey, hi. Sorry, I just joined late.
No problem, no problem. I will take introduction
See,
in the
I
last.
don't have. No, no. Actually, I don't have that app, so that's why I first download it and then join.
Oh, okay, fine, no issue. Yeah, so
So I
guys,
have one doubt. Hello.
yeah, Pratik.
No, no. We are going to cover Unix part also, Unix and
Yes,
SQL. Some
yes, not
before
sequel.
Abinitio.
Unix will cover, not sequel.
Okay. And how much duration of this course?
23 to 25 hours. It will be easily.
Sorry.
23 to 25 hours.
Uh, okay. No, no. How many days that we know we need?
This will be something like 40 days. 40 to 45 days. Why? Because we'll be having Saturdays, Sundays, and festivals. Even some personal works for me depends upon my availability, right? So yeah, you can consider 40 to
And,
40.
actually, I don't have any prior experience in Abinitio. So as a fresher, I can join this course, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Even my training will be happening from the scratch. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Yeah. So right. So yeah. So I have not mentioned this one. Yeah. So our training will be from happening from scratch. That means what is data, how the data will be coming, and how to create your own data, because this is practice version, right? You need to create your own data. So how to create your own data, how to handle file or files, what are the different kind of files, right? Yes, all the discussion will be happen, since our training from will be from scratch, because I am aware, a lot of students who may have IT experience, they may be joining here. Students who may does not have IT experience also, they will be joining here, right? So as part of that, everybody need to have very good understanding. Let me think, Abhishek, he may aware already what is ETL and ETL2, right? Yes, since it is demo or total training, it should be in the generic format from scratch, first to last, right? Yeah. So any other questions, guys?
Uh,
Hello.
just like one thing. Uh, hey,
Your voice
hey,
is
hey, hey, hi Anil. Like I'm audible, right?
now you're audible.
Yeah. Like what would be the course syllabus on this? Like the
I will
entire
show you.
thing, right?
I will show you, and you can collect the thing from content from like trainer. Sorry, organizer
Okay,
also.
okay,
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 I will show you. So now I have given only only 30% discussion. Still we are having a lot of things to
okay,
discuss in
okay,
demo.
okay, okay.
Our demo will
Yeah,
be
okay,
around 1 hour to 1 hour 10 minutes. Some other not 30
okay,
40 minutes. Okay. Yeah,
okay,
still we are having a lot of things to discuss.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah,
Yeah,
if any
yeah,
questions,
please.
of course you can highlight still in the end of the session. Okay. So we are aware, now what is the ETL, what is role in the importance in the market, cost, etc. And yeah. So basically, we are telling Abinitio, right? So basically, Abinitio is not a tool, guys. It's a corporation. Okay. It's a corporation which provides tools for our make life easy. For example, I want to make my ETL process, right? So for making my ETL process, that is a tool called GD. You can see on the screen, right? This is called GD, to make my ETL process. Okay, right. Requirement I developed, I want to schedule this, I want to trigger this. First of all, I want to trigger this midnight 12 a.m IST or 12 a.m EST. Okay, 12 a.m IST, let me think, it's midnight for us. Okay, so who will be waking up for that, right? In that case, I will be using some tool which is called scheduling tool. I will schedule the job there, right? That job automatically triggers like midnight 12 a.m IST, right? So for in order to make that in my Abinitio provided one more tool called control center, which is a scheduling tool provided by the Abinitio corporation. Okay, 1 lakh records given as input. 1 lakh records has given as input to my graph in the sense requirement. Okay, here it will be called as graph in Ab Initio. Yeah, right. So my graph was given with 1 lakh records as the output. 70,000 records as given as output. Sorry, input was given with 1 lakh records. 70,000 records was given as output. Then what about the 30,000 records, right? 30,000 records, what was happened? Maybe it got ignored while happening, or it got filtered while happening, right? So if you want to track the data, we will be using metadata management as the tool, which was provided by the Abinitio corporation only, right? We are having some other tools, something like express it and BRE, combination of these two we are using in my latest project. Okay, and conduct it. I'm having three requirements. I want to trigger first requirement, next third requirement, next second requirement in 1 3 2 order. That too in the night 12 o'clock. That too night in the 12 o'clock. So who will be doing that kind of activity, manual activity, that too in the midnight 12 o'clock? Right? Yes, we can automate that here with the help of conductivity. right? Yeah, so basically these are the tools provided by Abinitio corporation. Abinitio corporation, of course, here I given 70 lakh to 1 crore difference, 30 lakhs difference set. Number of tools you are getting onboarded in your project, the tool cost will be different. And of course, usually client goes with around 13 to 15, like what is that, licenses at a time. Cost will be again be decreased since you are going with the bulk license concept. Okay, yeah. So these are the different tools in the market that is provided by the Ab Initio corporation. As I mentioned, Ab Initio is not a tool name; it's a corporation name, and these are the, yeah. So everybody says Informatica, Informatica. Informatica means primarily power center. Nobody awares I'm working on power center, but everybody aware I'm working, right. If I'm working on Informatica, right? Yeah, something, guys. So I have taken some example, right? Lens example, something like, filtering the data, capturing the count. I will develop a small graph here. Okay, I will develop a small graph here. Yeah. So I will explain the high level. No need to worry. Anil, why you're dragging that? Why you're dragging this? Okay. So I'm dragging here input file component, in which it is used to extract the data. ETL process, right? As part of ETL extraction, I'm using my input file component. I want to load the data. I'm using output file component. So output file component, extraction purpose, input file, loading purpose, output file. Guys, I'm mentioning here file. What about table, Anil? I want to extract the data from a table, or I want to load the data from a table. I mean into a table, right? In that case, I will be using output table component, input table component. Okay, table wise, we are having separate discussion 2 hours topic. Okay, our initial discussion will be on the file and different kind of files and how to create the structure of the files, etc. from the day one. Okay, yeah. So basically I want to filter the data, right? For example, for now I want to filter the data under the transform. Under the transform, you are having some component which is filter by expression component. Control C, Control V, that also works. Right, yeah. So E, transformation part, right? Transformation part, transform, T, L for loading, right? Yeah. So I'm taking one file, existing file, guys, no need to worry. We'll discuss how to create the file in the day one, as I mentioned. I'm taking some existence file. So no need to worry, Anil, what is that? What is this? This is demo only. Okay. We'll be having specific discussion, whatever, things I'm using now in our actual discussion. Yeah, see there, I'm good with my input file component, I'm good with my output file component. See, how are you telling man Anil mean? See here, I'm having to do queue, so that means hello, right? You don't have anything here. Earlier when you drag and drop, you would have seen. Yeah. So my intention is department number 10 I want to filter, right? Yes. In the select expression filter by, I will be writing some expression, department number double is equal to 10. Here comparison operator will be not single is equal to, that will be double is equal to 1. Okay, so just execute your graph. Yeah. All records as given as input. 3 records got segregated here, and 9 records got segregated here. So what is this 3 records? The thing means it will be department number 10 set of records here, right? Department number 3 set of 10 set of records. So here you can see, other than department number 10, that may be less than department number 10, greater than department number. So other than that, you can see 20s, 30s, and 40s. Right? Of course, 3 plus 9, 12. Incoming is equal to output, but that was segregated. Since I want to filter the data, right, I segregate. Of course, I will be, in order to get the count right, I will be using some roll-up component to use my aggregation functions. Okay, to use my aggregation functions, I will be using roll-up. That's fine. However, we can see the count as 3 records. Same reliance example I mentioned, right? So so of course here I'm having only 1 year data. That's why you are having count as 3. If you are having, according to the year 2020, 2021, 2022, that data, right? Yes, I will be using some, as I mentioned, component. I will be getting accurate thing along with the year. 2020 count is 3, 2024 something like count is 2, 2023 count is 5, something. So this is my small requirement. This is my small requirement I have developed to segregate my department number 10. Of course, count wise, I have seen that manually 3 records. Right? Right? Guys, see there, when I trigger this graph, it is taking around 5 seconds, correct? First time it would have taken more time. Now already executed. Re-execution means already backend things already catches would have already created. That's why within 2 seconds that is completed. When you trigger first time, right, it will be taking around 5 seconds. It will be taking around 5 seconds. That means time was increased. Basically, Anil, in between that time, in the 5 seconds, what was happened? I want to know. Right? If you want to know what was happening in that 5 seconds, means you need to know the Ab Initio architecture. To know Ab Initio architecture. As part of this Ab Initio architecture, 3 primary things you need to know. GD, co-op, yeah. Okay. So GD means, now we would have aware, GD means where I will be developing my ETL requirements. Right? This is one of the ETL. Small requirement. Right? Yeah. So as I mentioned, this is called a graph. That's why you can see graph one. So whatever requirements you will be you will be saying as a graph, and you will be saved with .mp extension, guys. You will be saving the requirements here, detail requirements with .mp extension, that will be called as a graph. Okay, so GDE means it's our front end. It's your front end where you are developing the code. Let me write the full form. Graphical development environment. GD full form. Okay, where that is the front end where you develop. Co-op is called cooperating system, guys. Cooperating system. So what is this cooperating system? See, guys, when I trigger a graph, it is taking around 2 seconds, 2 seconds or 5 seconds, what I mentioned, right? Yeah. At this point of time, what will be happening means my graph will be converted into Unix shell script. My graph will be converted into Unix shell script, and that script will be given to something called co-op, cooperating system. Right? Cooperating system is a backend mechanism that is developed by the Abinitio Corporation to whatever the graph present here, that was converted to scripts, correct? That was converted to script. That script will be given with these 12 arguments, 12 records, right? 12 records, right? These 12 records will be given as arguments to your script, and based upon the script, based upon the scripts, whatever records that was given with the 10, that will be kept aside. Whatever records given with the other than 10, that will be kept another side. Okay, right. Whatever kept aside, right, which is department number 10, that will be loaded into this level. Whatever records kept other side for this department number 10, right, that will be given into this level. See, basically, who is taking care of this? Who is taking care of this? Right? Something like cooperating system. See, I want to do some work. Who will instruct you? Right? Right? In our human body, right? Who will be instruct you to do the work in this way? Our brain, right? Our brain. Of course, heart also make us to be alive. In order to make my graph alive and to work, we will be using our cooperating system is something like brain or heart to my Ab Initio. For my ETL process, it's a brain or heart to my Ab Initio. It will keep me alive. It will, segregation of data, everything will be done with my cooperating system only. Right? So Anil, will we doing any cooperating system developments? Means absolutely no. Absolutely no. Based upon quarter or based upon month, Abinitio Corporation will release cooperating system versions every, like monthly based or quarterly based or 45 days based upon their interest or a speedness, right? They will be upgrading the things, and Ab Initio admin team will update means upgrade, right? Right, they will upgrade in in our projects. First they will be upgrading the corporate system in the development level, and they will wait for around 1 month to 45 days. If no issues found, they will be upgrading to SIT. They will be doing to UAT with 15 days or one month difference until production. 1 quarter they will not move to the production. Why? Because we, within this 1 quarter means 3 months, right? Within these 3 months, if any issues that will be coming into picture, since it is development SIT or UAT, they can easily revert the changes to the old cooperating system version, right? So ETL developer will never touch an cooperating system code, and we don't have access 100%. Even the path also will be not aware. When I'm having 12 experience, right? 12 years of experience, right? In which path will be given with the cooperating system will be not aware. Even though we'll be aware, absolutely you will not be having access. Even read only kind of access also you will not be having 100%, guys, right? Yeah. So EME full form is enterprise metadata environment. Metadata environment. Okay, so what is this MENL? Yeah, so EME means something like repositories in our general experience, general software experience. Of course you would have heard the thing repository. What is a repository, Anil? See, you want to save the code, right? You have developed the code in your GD, right? You want to save this. Where you will be saving? Where you will be saving? You need to save in some specifically secured place. You need to save in specifically secured place. Of course, that secured place is called repository. Nobody will be having access. I mean, that means, if you're working on some application, you will be having, even though you are, even though you are working certain client, in that certain clients you will be having different applications, right? Right, you will be having your own application access. That means to your own repository, I mean to say. That depends upon the client whether you want to go one repository for one application, or only one repository to the total project. That depends upon the client. Based upon that, you will be having access to that repository, right? See, SAT team or QA team, they are also part of the project, right? But they will be not having access for here. L2 team, L3 team, right? They are also part of the project, right? They will also be not having only development team will be having access for this repository. Why? Because they are only the guys who will be doing check-in, check-out based upon the requirements given. But L2 L2 team, they are supporting guys to making our ETL process happening. They are the supporting guys. They will never touch the code. If any issue in the production, they will do the analysis. They will be coming back to me. Hey Anil, there was issue with this code. Please look into this. Okay, they will be dropping email. They will be asking me to join in the call for the live analysis. Maybe depends upon the urgency. Right? So these are the primary three things in the architecture. Yeah. So any other questions so far, guys?
No, Anil. Good.
So our training will be, as I mentioned, 23 to 20 hours easily. Once you are done with the enrollment, you will be given with the emails, 5 emails. First email is Ab Initio email, software email. That is Windows XP. What do you see on the screen is that is Windows XP. Same Windows XP will be given to you. That was compressed. You need to download that. That will be around 7.2 GB or 7.7 GB. You need to have very good speed connection. Okay. So once that is downloaded, right, you need to have the VMware. That also will be given. Second email, VMware and supporting files. Third email, notes email, guys. Notes email consists of Abinitio notes, SQL notes, data warehousing notes, Unix notes, and real-time notes. Real-time notes means my last project explanation. Explanation means not 1 or 2 pages, around 10 to 18 pages every time. Real-time notes. So even I have given what are the different kind of sandbox names. Sandbox means you will be saving our Abinitio objects, right? You will be saving in some level, right? Yes. In your private level, I mean to say, in your desktop level. So that is called a sandbox. Yes. What are even the sandbox names have given? If something is done, with which team I need to connect. If source is not present, with which team I need to connect. So minimal details also I have written there, right? So real time. So all these five notes are present in your notes email, and another two emails are installation steps video, and installation steps theoretical written. These five emails you will be receiving once you are done with the enrollment. So our training will be daily 1 hour, Monday to Friday compulsory. Saturday, Sundays, of course Sunday it will be off. Saturday, based upon my availability, we can have a session for 1 hour. You will be given with the video access read only. Whenever you want, you can have the session open and you can go through the session. Until Saturday I was unable to attend. I know until Tuesday I was in some urgent traveling, I was unable to attend, right? No problem, you will be given with the video access. Of course you can see whenever you want. But expectation is when you're coming for next day, expectation is you need to go through the today's session. Why? Because you may have any questions, right? Maybe you know, since that is the next day you are going to ask, right? It's already it is easy everybody to understand, right? Something like day 3 question, if you ask me on the day 30, right, day 30, right. So everybody maybe cannot be able to recall, right? That's why expectation is morning 1 hour session, evening 1 hour session, going through the video and prepare your own notes wise I have prepared and have given to you. But expectation is you need to go through the session again and you need to write your own notes. Practice makes man perfect, is it? Right, isn't it? Right. So prepare your own notes, and of course in the same notes, right, let me think, I have discussed filter by expression. Under the filter by expression you are having questions and answers. Close the answer, go through the question, practice from your end, since you are given with the GD access. Okay, right. So practice from your end. If any questions, let me know in the next day. That's what the expectation, right? Sometimes I will be giving the some interesting questions, whatever feel right, I will be giving a task assessment. One of the day I am not giving any question, it doesn't mean you don't need to practice, right? So it doesn't, right? For me, I don't feel that much questions, much important questions there, but you may get some question there, right? Right, in the interview you may get some question there. That's why you need to go through the notes. See, once filter by expression is written in the notes, down to that you can see questions on that. If I use some reformat component, right? So yes, that reformat component, you can see the theoretical explanation down to the multiple examples, not one or two example. Every component will be having 2 to 3 examples with different kind of scenarios. You need to go through that, you need to practice that, right? Let me open content that should be available somewhere. Content that transfer.
Hello, Anil.
Yeah.
Any prior knowledge required to join this course?
No. See, prior knowledge in the sense, if you have SQL knowledge, that's well and very good. Okay. See, let me think. I want to discuss some roll-up component, right? So in roll-up component here, that will be happen with the aggregation function, right? Aggregation function. So first of all, what is the aggregation function? You need to know. If you want to know aggregation function, you need to have understanding of the SQL at least, right? SQL knowledge is very better, guys. Of course, you don't have SQL knowledge also, no problem. For my Abinitio to understand, in order to Abinitio to understand whatever SQL knowledge you need, that content discussion that will be given to you. Okay, let me highlight you something. If you go for interview, can you, Anil, rate Abinitio out of 10 in order to ask the questions? Okay, can you rate SQL out of 10 in order to write? And of course, can you rate Unix also out of 10? Somebody asks you high level data warehousing questions, even that also notes is given to you. Okay, right. So my role is to cover Abinitio. If any concept that is relating to the database and any concept that is relating to the Unix, it's my responsibility to cover. Right. So as I mentioned, scratch development. Scratch development means nobody having idea on that kind of concepts, right? Yes. At least To know what is that will be covering, but that covering will be happen for my Abinitio to understand. SQL, you are having free videos in the online. Unix also you can have free videos in the online. No need to go here and there. You don't need to spend some extra money. You need to spend some time. Not to here and there. Okay, right? For my Abinitio to understand whatever needed, that will be delivered, even that is outside of Abinitio. Other than that, yes, we need to discuss. Why? Because as I mentioned, SQL out of 10 they will be asking you. Unix also out of 10 they will be asking. That means you need to have knowledge. No, not knowledge, good idea on your SQL and Unix also. Why? Because if you wake up and if you log in for the day, my Abinitio total thing was developed on Abinitio, sorry, Unix, guys. My Abinitio was total created on the Unix platform. Informatica was developed based upon the Java platform. Okay. Okay, just understand that. Okay, content wise, so in this
Yes.
Windows XP, I don't have, you know,
So Anil, like when you say Unix, it means like the entire thing in the Ab Initio is built on it's kind of shell scripting, like right,
correct,
advanced version of the Unix.
correct. As I mentioned, right, my GD is, interface for our easy understanding for my development
Mm,
purpose, but that will be converted into shell script only. I mentioned that point, right?
mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
And moreover, architecture. I have shown you architecture, but how the architecture will be aligned? Let me put that also. Architecture. Yeah. Okay. First of all, let me open the architecture. How that internally aligned my GDE operating system, right? Yeah. See there. You can see GDE is present here. I will be developing some code. I will be developing code. That code when I execute, that will be converted into shell script, and that shell script will be given to the operating system. Here, every record will be passed to my shell script as an argument. Whatever record satisfying some condition, that will be, I mean, as per my filter by expression knowledge. Okay, yeah. So that will be segregated aside, and another set of data that will be segregated aside. And of course, for our visualization, that three records will be kept aside, and nine records will be kept aside for our visualization. So that's why this is bidirectional. Connection between GD and cooperating system is bidirectional. For the GD to EME, what is EME? Repository, check-in, checkouts, right? Yeah. So that is single directional. Why? Because I will be checking. I will be using check-in and number of checkout only one number. However, this is also can be can direction mentioned as bidirectional. But checkouting will be happen one time for the day, but check-in will be happen 3 to 4 times for the day. Usually. Right? So if a manager, right, he will be calling me, Anil, how many times you will be checking for the day? Right? Around 6 months back also I received call from manager. Anil, right? I have received a check-in list. You are there. Yes, I will be there. Since I'm a Abinitio developer, right? Yeah. So how many days you will be doing sorry, how many in a day, how many times you will be doing? 3 to 4 times is it. Right. See, if Anil is working only, right, he will be doing a number of check-ins. Somebody does only a single chicken by the end of the day. When they are leaving for the day, they will be doing chicken and they will be living for the day. But how Anil is working means if he do more number of chickens per day, right? That's why I mentioned around 3 to 4 times will be chicken per day for the management purpose. But usually means by the end of the day we will be doing chicken and we will be living. Usually that is only needed, but since 3 to 4 chickens needed, for the like manager, he can expose the thing to the client. Hey, Anil is this many times our developers are doing the check-in every day. That means they are doing more amount of work, right? Yeah, something like that. So this is our corporate sorry, what is that, architecture. Okay, architecture level alignment. In this way that will be aligned internally. Let me open the content. You can collect from the your organizer also, but I'm showing you
Yeah,
basic.
yeah, that's fine. Like,
Is that fine? Yeah, something high level. You can see the content, WShow content will be discussing, topic till here in our demo only. Okay, right?
Mhm.
Parallelism, three kinds of parallelism, Ab Initio architecture, right? Overview, introduction, right? GDE overview, right? These things we are already discussed in our demo. That's why 1 hour it will be taking. Right? Yeah. So DML, different type of data sources, right? That will be from the day one. How to create the data mentioned, right? That will become from the day one. And moreover, you can see, all these are different components we are going to discuss. It will be around 40 components, guys. It will be around 40 components. Yes. Till here, this is basics. Till here, that is basics. After that, you can see your advanced topics I mentioned, right? Heading, right? Till here, that is basics. So, in order to cover here, I need at least 15 to 18 hours of time. 15 to 18 hours of time. Of course, guys, if you see our development part, so where I have taken some extra effort here. See, my source is already pre-existed, correct? My source is already pre-existed. In real time also, source is already pre-existed. We are having separate source team to give the. I want to load the data into some database, or you want to extract the data from database, right? Right. So in that case, you will be using here table concept to load. You will be using here table to load. Who will create the table? Database team will create the table. You are using some existing source to extract the data, and you are using some existing table to load the data. So where are the efforts you are keeping means you are in the transformation part. What is the logic and what is the component? What is the conditions? It's your responsibility to understand the logic and write the code transformation part, right? So there you will be using transform components. We'll be having transform component discussion around 10 to 12 hours of, guys. Around 10 to 12 hours of training will be happening on the transform components. Why? Because I'm using here existing file, I'm using here existing tabular file to load. I'm not creating any table here, I'm not creating any file here. In the same way, I'm not creating any source file here, I'm not creating any source table also. I'm using some input file component or input table component to extract with some settings. In the same way, output table or output file component to load with some settings. That's it. I'm not doing much amount here. My 70 to 80% of my development time will be taken my transformation topic only, transformation part only. That's why my transformation topic around 10 to 12 hours will be happening on my transformation part. Anil, already I'm having 3 years of experience in the Abinitio. I was unable to crack the interviews. I trained around 25 to 30 plus people for that kind of, Anil, I'm having 3 years of experience. I'm unable to crack the interview, right? Yes. Those guys also wait until our transform components is completed, database components is completed, okay, and parallelism topic is completed. That will be happening around 15 hours, at least 15 hours. Okay. After that, go for interview. Why? Because usually you will be having 70 to 80% of questions in the transformation topic only. 70 to 80%. That remaining 10-20% will be in another set of components. Another set of components other than transformation, database, and parallelism topics. Right? Clear, guys? Any
Yeah.
questions?
Just one thing, Anil, I think it is too early to ask, but are we which database we will be going to use later in the if we want to
See,
connect some
in
table
our
to
training,
the
Oracle. Yeah, here that will be
Oracle?
Oracle. That is 10.2.0.1.0. I remember. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So this is pre-install everything. Even when you install in your level, right? This Windows XP that was pre-installed with Ab Initio. That was pre-installed with SQL with the
okay,
10 version, and of course Unix CMD. In order to practice Unix, you don't need to install Red Hat Linux and practice. If you double click this application, right, it will open. Right. Whatever you see on the screen is Unix supported. Mostly whatever Unix supporting is tried here, and that is working. Commands level, I mean to say. Mostly that is
Okay.
supporting. When VI commands are supporting. VI you are aware, right? So it is some file,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
VI
VI
commands are
editor.
the supporting. And one more asked question to me is, Anil, if I do changes, some Abhishek has done changes in his Windows XP, will that be reflected in Gita and or your end? Means absolutely no. Whoever does their installation and who they will be doing their changes, that will be local to them. That will be not reflected to some other end. And moreover, Anil, is that lifelong? Yes, that is lifelong. Whatever version given to is lifelong. There will be no new renewals. No need to pay something extra. Okay, so whatever you're spending in the initial level, that is only spending. You will be given with the read-only kind of access for the videos, and you will be given with the Windows XP, which is a lifelong version. Whenever you want to practice, you can practice. Whenever you want to through the videos, you can go through the videos also. Right? Yeah. So guys, let me highlight you one thing from my end, my way of training. My way of training. Let me think. I've started some component which is my filter by expression. Right, filter by expression. What is this component? In how many ways we can use this component? Point one. Point two, simulation part. So whatever mentioned on the point one, what is that component, how many ways, right? That how many ways I will be showing you as the point two. Everything will be simulated and shown you with some example. Point three, performance tuning techniques. When I start a component, I will be discussing the performance tuning technique at that point of time only. Why? Because I can take some extra session, something like 1 hour 30 minutes at the end of the content. Okay, I can mention some topic separately, performance tuning technique today, not tomorrow. Please attend. Instead of that, I am discussing performance tuning technique at that point of time. And why? Because I may get some extra question. Anil, why that way? Why not this way? Right? Yeah. Point four, interview question. Interview questions for that this respective component will be covered here only. Okay. Point five, frequently asked question. Right. Maybe Abhishek is having some experience. Geeta does not have any experience. Right. Of course, either in the ab initio level or in the real time level. Like a software level, I mean to say. Right. So Abhishek will may have some matured question other than Geeta. Maybe like in the prior sessions, somebody asked me some more matured question. Maybe Abhishek has not got that question now. Once after completion of training, he got that question, right? That's why around from 6 months back or 3 months back only, frequently asked questions also have introduced in the topics directly in this content level discussion. Well, somebody asked me this kind of question for me in the frequently asked question topic I mentioned, right? For this 5 topics completed only for my filter by expression, I will close this after completion of if we discuss end to end for a component at that point of time, it will be easy for me to to handle and it is also easy for you to understand, right? Performance tuning technique, if I don't cover now and if I go in the 30 days, after 30 days, right? Maybe if you are not practicing, you may don't remember what is that component also. If I open that component, okay, somewhere I have seen, right? That's why if you get a number of topics or questions, right, at a point of time, it will be easy for you to understand, it will be easy for me to handle that. That is the intention. At a point of time, you will be having end-to-end knowledge. That is the intention. Yeah. So any other question, guys? Any new expectations, let me know. Somebody joins here for Abinitio admin training and joins the development part. Okay. So once after completion of our training, any questions means, Anil, what is admin part? Why I will be covering admin part means, organizer giving me this line for joining admin training. Okay. That's why I will be asking some word, any expectations. Any questions, guys? Either in the
Anil,
demo meeting
just
or some other question. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, I don't have any query. Just like that part when you were explaining the check-in and this checkout part, can you just
Huh.
throw some light on that? Like why we
Yes.
need that, like check-in and
Yes,
checkout
of
part?
course. Of course, check-in checkout version control for maintaining our version control. We will be doing check-in checkout. Yes, we will discuss clearly advanced topics. Moreover, guys, as I mentioned, this is
Okay.
not open-based version, right? But I will be giving you idea how to do the check-in checkout from front end back end. If you join for interview, right? Hey Anil, how do you do the check-in? Front end. Usually, whoever having 3 years experience will be doing the front end only. Even I'm having 12 experience, I will be doing front end only. Can you give me the steps to do the from backend? Got the point, right? He may ask you any question. This is a tool, guys. This is a tool. He may get question from any level, right? Yes.
Okay.
All things will be covered as I mentioned. 3 years
Okay.
experience. Who need to have whatever experience they need to crack the interview. That is our intention right here, right? Maybe Abhishek is having some internal requirement, right? But all the guys does not have that kind of requirement. They need to crack the interview, right? That's why our training from will be from scratch, and moreover interview perspective. What kind of questions you will be getting, that also will be covered, right, guys? Let me highlight you one thing. This is for Ab Initio content discussion, not your real-time project. Anil, when I'm discussing roll-up component, right? Some guy, 2 3 years back, hey Anil, I got the requirement for this, can you discuss? Why I will be discussing here, right? This is content level discussion, right? So whatever he asked me, that comes under job support. Job support, they will be charging whoever guy is interested, right? So they will be charging half of the salary, or 30,000, 40,000, based upon their availability, and based upon his interest, right? Why are we discussing here? No, absolutely no. He has given negative feedback. Organizer called me, hey Anil, why are you not discussing all the topics? What was happened? No, this guy came to me today, he asked the question, you were not discussed. Yes, correct, I will not discuss. Why I will be discussing, right? I am explaining him. He asked me to stop the content, and he's asking me his requirements here, right? Yes, organizer came back to that guy. So, no, this is not the correct way. If you want any job support, let me know. I can give you some reference. You can talk with them, respect your amount, and you can, job support is fine, right? Some lady has given, even 2 months back. 2 months back, some lady has given negative feedback. My organizer gone to that lady. Hey, what was happened? Anil is not, supporting software installation. I've given you video each and everything, and I've given in the notes. I've given some note in which if you are getting any question out of this or any error, something like VM 12345, some something backend support you need to have. Okay, so VMware sometimes it will not support you. Why it will not support you? You need to do some settings in your OS level. You need to press F2. You need to restart your system. You need to press F2. In that F2 you need to do this kind of settings, right? So even I do not will be aware all these kind of settings. Even sometimes my VMware services will not be up, guys. Okay, sometimes my VMware will not open. Okay, right? My is Windows 11 machine backend. Okay, so base is Windows 11, and I'm opening Windows XP to work with my Abinitio, right? Yes, in order to open my Abinitio Windows XP, VMware service is not open, right? So I got the VM 12345 code. I have searched in the Google. So one of the VMware Corporation guy replied, hey, this is the issue. Like this VMware services not up. Use this path. Go to the VMware services. Restart there manually. I'm having their button restart. After restarting, VMware is open. Have anybody teach me this kind of concepts? I'm here for ab initio discussion. That's fine. Even in installation also, I can help you when, if already I have gone through some kind of seniors issues. Even some guys, I would have helped some guys, right, while doing installation. Yes, if I seen that kind of thing in right, you can share the screen and you can highlight me, Anil. I know this is the thing happening to me. If I am aware, I can help you. If I'm not aware, how I can help you? Even I too do the Google search or chat GPT. Later than that guy, that lady, what they have done, what she have done, she posted the same question in the chat GPT. If you see the VMware, right? If you see the VMware in the front end, which is in the Windows 11, I mean to say. Okay, so here she is having the option run as administrator. That's it. Her issue was closed. Right? So intention is installation means will all thing will be supported by trainer? Absolutely no. You need to do some research and you need to do, right? Whatever no, whatever I have given you when VMware 12 version. Now latest working is level something like VMware 17 or 19. I don't remember exact version. Okay, yeah, you can download it for the free. You can the latest thing, you need to log into respective VMware corporation website. You can download free of cost. No need to worry, you don't need to go to somewhere, right? You don't need to go somewhere. And even I'm having the latest version, even this is my new laptop. Okay, so whatever VMware 12 I have installed, right, that is not working. It is asking me, this is old version. No, I'm not. It has shown me this kind of, this is old version. So I have logged into the Broadcom, which is VMware. Recently Broadcom has acquired VMware. Okay, yeah, so I have logged into my Broadcom website and have signed up. I have downloaded the latest version. Even if you want the latest version, I can give you. Nobody has come to me till now, for this latest version. Of course, if you want to download, you can download from your end, or Anil, can you provide instead of all the sign up activity? Yes, I can provide. I can provide directly to the organizer. Organizer also will be having one copy, VMware 7 and VMware 19, right? He can forward you anything, no issue. However, you need to have the latest version with the no trial version. Even earlier topics, right, earlier classes I mentioned, that will be available for only 30 days. Now after Broadcom acquired the VMware, right, not 30 days, that is full version. You will be seeing underscore full in the setup name. Underscore full you will be seeing, right? Yeah, so even this is a VMware 19. I don't remember exact version. This is full version only. Have downloaded from official website. Always download from the official website, right? Don't think I need to sign up. I'm giving some my email ID, etc., name, phone number, etc. If you download some other third party website, something like File Hippo, right, they will be writing some extra code, okay, to retrieve all the details from your laptop. Don't do that kind of silly mistakes. Let our email or goes to the official Broadcom website, no problem, that is official, right? This File Hippo means that third party, they will be introducing some malwares. Okay, they will be introducing some malwares in the actual program in the sense setup file. In this VMware setup file, right, they will be introducing a small malware. They will be getting all the details every day when you open, right, when you switch on the laptop, right, that malware will give all the data from your end to their end. If any personal videos, right, person everything will be gone there. Of course, you would have heard ransom attack, right, around 2 years or 3 years back. So how that is happening means, if somebody is using a Windows, not genuine one, okay, right, they have done, that was unofficial. Microsoft only done that. That was unofficial. Okay, everybody knows who is working in the industry. But yeah, like whoever want to, right, unlock that VMware, right, I mean that ransomware, right, they need to pay some money, that in the thousands of dollars, right? If you go with the genuine version of the Microsoft OS, right, that will be in hundreds of dollars only, something like 700, 800. I don't remember exact version and exact cost. Okay, just guiding you in high level, don't do this kind of silly mistakes. Okay, guys. Any other questions so far? Any new expectations? Let me know. If it is possible, right? If it is possible, I will let you know. If it does not possible, you don't make any enrollment. Why? Because it will be causing headache to me. That's why I'm asking you. What this is thought time. Any new expectation?
Hello.
Let me know. Yeah, go ahead.
Anil, a small doubt that
Yeah.
that installation part you said that Windows 11 will be fine, right? Not
See,
required Windows
Windows
XP.
11, as I mentioned you, even I don't have, this Abinitio setup file. Okay, you need to open Windows XP. That Windows XP consists of all your Abinitio, Oracle, Unix, CMD applications. If you want to open Windows XP, that's an another OS, right? OS in your OS you need to open. If you want to open OS in your OS, you need to use VMware, which is a middleware here, right? Yeah. So if
Okay.
you're
So
having
you're
experience,
saying
real time experience, right? So you are working for some L&T organization. You need to open to your client, maybe Citibank, JPMC. How you are opening? Right, Citrix. Right. Your middleware is something like Citrix, and you are opening with the help of VMware only still. Right. With the help of VMware only still, you will be opening your things. Right. So our VDA will be logging into our VDA. How means you need to use some third party tool. So here also Windows XP is our VDI, right? In which I will be using our middleware as VMware. Compulsory, you need to use VMware and you need to open the VMware. There is no setup file to you, no, I mean, to given to you. I don't have that. Okay. And one
no,
more thing,
you're saying
guys.
like no, no. You're saying like we can directly open this Windows XP, right, with the help of VMware.
VMware, correct. Correct. Okay, guys, let me highlight you one thing. One more thing, just to come, I will forget that else. Okay, yeah. So I'm going back to our VMware. I have given you a number of products, correct? These are the different products given by the Abinitio Corporation, right? Yeah. So as I mentioned, this is not an open basic tool. Okay, I can discuss entirely on the GDE and of course few minutes on conductivity. Okay, because why connected? In Abinitio helpful, I'm having this conductivity topics. Okay, that's why I can show you in high level for 30 minutes here. Okay, other than that, Anil, what about BRE, expressity, metadata management, control center, right? Even I don't have access for you to discuss here. Okay, I'm highlighting you in the demo only, right? So this is not an open basic tool. For example, Anil, in project description, in job description, I'm having BRE. I'm having BRE. Guys, let me highlight you one thing. In my first project, I mentioned I'm having 3 projects experience, right? Yeah. So in my first project, I worked on GD and Conduct 82. For my scheduling tool, I have used their Control M. Right here, the control center is the scheduling tool given by the Abinitio Corporation. In my first project, I have used my GD and Conduct 80. In my second project, I switched. Right, I have attended the interview and I switched. There I have used metadata management. I don't have any exposure on the metadata management, but they have recruited me. In my third project, I'm using now GDE, Control Center, Express IT, and BRE combination separate URL they have created, and I'm using them. Conduct it. When I joined my third project, in which I don't have exposure on the Control Center, I don't have exposure on the Express IT and SBRE. Nobody rejected me. Why? Because, guys, to tell you frankly, nobody has given me KT and Control Center, guys. No, even single 1 minute KT was given in my present working when I joined the organization. But around 15 minutes to 30 minutes of KT was given on the Express IT, and I was able to learn bit more things. But KT means usually, guys, they will be giving you 10 to 30%. That means idea how to work on some tool, how to work on the project. Nobody gives to like spoon feeding. Anybody, guys. Nobody gives us spoon feeding. We are not kids in an industry, right. We need to be expertise. Of course, when you join, you may be like a kid, but we need to be expertise, right? Yeah. So as I mentioned, when I joined my present organization, of course, in the job description I have seen BRE, Express IT, Control Center. I thought that very very advanced topics, of course advanced topics only, but minimal usage only we are doing, to tell you. Right. So, Anil, on what topics you got the questions in either in your second project, third project? Means in our GD and conduct IT only, I got n number of questions. Nobody bothers about this kind of topics. If you mention, in your resume, this control center, means if that guy is interested, he may ask you. Maybe that guy is working for some JPMC organization, right? You gone with the JPMC, right? So their JPMC, not control center, some maybe some other autos is they are using there. Why? Because control center cost is more, auto Cs or control M cost is less. That depends upon the project what they are going to onboard because of the cost constraint, right? So what I mean to say is, Anil, in the demo you mentioned all these topic means, yes, I mentioned as part of the corporation what they are going to provide the solutions, in what form they are providing the solution. But in the content level I don't have even access for this. GD I'm having given 2.1 version. Conduct IT I will be covering in the, with some example in the notepad. Okay, Conduct IT I will be opening the help file and I will be taking some example in the notepad and will be showing you. That's it. Okay, so don't expect Anil mentioned all this topic means that's not be covered. Okay, so after doing enrollment, we need to have, we should not have all this kind of ethics. That's why my demo will be 1 hour, 1 hour 15 minutes, even 130, 1 hour 30 minutes also. It does not bother. After doing enrollment, something gone wrong, that gives me the negative feedback. Since I'm having this much level of content discussion, even though I mentioned 1 or 2 negative feedbacks, in which not technical level, outside of the technical level, right? Yes, be cautious guys. Whatever you want, highlight to the organizer. He will be coming to me even after, demo. He will be coming to me. We can have one-to-one discussion, until that, until this, no problem. Why? Because after enrollment is done, I'm not sure on the refund policy or etc. That here I'm not the organizer. Okay, yeah. So any other question, guys? Okay, guys. Yeah, any other question?
No, Anil. No, Anil.
Okay, fine.
That's it.
Fine, guys. So, guys, if you are good for today, you can leave the session for today. Make your enrollment. If enrollment, done only, you will be receiving emails and you can practice parallelly with me. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Closing
Thank
the
you.
session.
Anil, when you are going
Yeah.
to start the batch?
You can check with the organizer. So he will confirm you regarding the batch and timings. Okay. Hopefully morning 7:30 only. Timings will be batch level. Just discuss with the organizer. And moreover, guys, our initial 3-4 classes will be slow and steady. Why? Because you need to understand the UI, right? If I discuss the component n number of times only, you will be having more understandings. Okay. Our initial session will be around 30 to 40 minutes, not more than that. Okay, to have the good exposure on the tool, n number of, you need to see n number of times. If you see n number of times only, you will be having much understanding.
No, no. From when we are going to start? Like from which date?
Batch,
I am
that's what,
asking.
batch wise, yeah, maybe this week you can check with the organizer exact date I mean to say. Okay,
Okay.
hopefully, yes. Maybe something in the weekend, or Thursday, or maybe starting of the, see, my intention is I cannot declare the date. Why? Because he may have some other plan to introduce 1 or 2 guys. Here you are 3 in the number, right? Usually batch should be considered 4 to 5 members, right? Even in the, let me off the recording.